Yeah. Let's talk about the main main event. We talked about this fight so much over the past few weeks, and look, you were right, dude. You were as right as they could have ever been. I gave Anthony Rumble Johnson, a lot of credit, and I think it's because against lesser opponents, I think he crushes their soul. I think Anthony's got that power, and he's very intimidating, and he gets in people's heads, and people almost come into the fight, and when they get hit, they crumble. DC, the confidence was like through the roof. I mean, Jesus Christ, dude, DC really, really schooled him, and I don't know if it was. It was. I think it was two things. I think you were right. I think DC, number one, he's just a dude that you're not going to be able to knock out. And his skill set is just a very difficult skill set for somebody like Anthony Rumble Johnson. But as we saw after the fight, Anthony Rumble Johnson loses the fight, second round tap out. Then he decides to retire out of nowhere. His team left him in the cage. They didn't have his back right after the fight. It was this bizarre ending it was another bizarre ending to another bizarre kind of fight. Anthony Johnson tried to wrestle him early on in the fight. It was very strange. Everything surrounding that made me go like, ugh, what a shitty performance by Anthony Johnson, and what a terrible way to go out. Like, to kind of go out like that and go, hey, you know what? I got a job outside of the UFC. I'm going to go be a fucking, I don't know what he's doing, but, just some other thing not to do with fighting. Like, ugh, that's just a sour way to end a main event.
Well, here's the thing. At the start of, you talking about this here, you kind of said you gave Anthony Johnson too much credit. You didn't give him too much credit. He gets all the credit that he deserves. And he went out there and he looked great. He had some good moments. He took DC down. He landed some really, really heavy shots. But it was a tactical meltdown. Listen, if you're fighting Daniel Cormier, who is, as everybody knows, one of the best wrestlers in the UFC, in mixed martial arts, on planet Earth, you do not say, hey, everyone, I'm fighting this wrestler. You know what my game plan's going to be? I'm going to go out there and out-wrestle him. That's just stupid. I love Anthony Johnson. Huge fan. Love the way he fights. Dude, if that was his game plan, then that was just ridiculous. And his team need to have a word with themselves. Rumble is an incredible fighter. On the feet, he's one of the best out there, one of the most devastating strikers. I do not understand why he would close the distance and try and get the takedown. Rumble does have a wrestling background, not as credited as Daniel Cormier, but he's a big, strong, powerful dude. Anytime you close the distance and you start clinching, if you get the takedown, that's great. But if you don't, you allow the other wrestler to turn the tables because you're in that clinch world. You're in the wrestling world. You've closed the distance and you've got your hands on each other. You're going to lose those battles against a guy like DC. And having fought him once before, having felt that, having been taken down and not be able to get back to his feet and then submitted, you would have thought that he would avoid the clinch like the plague.
Yeah.
That's what he should have done. Avoid it like the plague. Stay on the outside, use the reach, use the range, use the power, the kicks, everything, and stay away. It was a brain fart. It was a bad game plan. He made a mistake. He was meant to pay for it. The thing with DC is, I mean, he's a big, heavy dude. If you look at him, he's not the tallest guy, certainly for a light heavyweight. He's not the tallest. He's very short and compact. And when a guy that knows how to use his weight, because wrestlers know how to make themselves heavy, it's years and years of technique training. They know how to make themselves heavy. And then when you've got that kind of body frame like DC, a very low center of gravity, a guy like that on top of you is almost impossible to get off. You got to be very, very skilled yourself to get him off. And DC just rolled him out. He just rode him like a bloody horse, and he was just hitting him with those shots, bing, 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 chipping away at him to the head from behind. He had his back, and the shots were building momentum, getting more and more power. And it was only a matter of time before Rumble's chin came up and allowed DC to get his forearm under the neck. And yeah, it was a shame. It was a shame. I was looking forward to seeing more. Congratulations to DC. Fantastic win. Did exactly what he needed to do. But, kind of a weird game plan from Anthony Johnson.
How much does, because we're talking about the game plan from Anthony Rumble Johnson, how much does it take out of you? Because, you're primarily a striker, but if you're spending your energy trying to take a guy down, this is something that I think the average fan doesn't even understand. Like, I don't know. I would have no idea. I've never been in the cage in that type of environment, right? But let's say you're going to take a guy down who's a really good wrestler, who has great takedown defense, and the energy output that you're expending to take him down, how much is that going to affect you when they reset and you're going to go and start striking again? Does your power like cut down by 10% at that point, 15%? Does it not happen until later on in the fight? I just kind of, because I almost like looked at, did Anthony Johnson kind of kill his punching power by doing all that grappling early on?
Well, exactly. You make a great point. So the thing is, everybody knew, well, everybody spoke about this going into the fight, that Rumble Johnson is a guy that's very dangerous in the first round and fades fast as the fight goes on. You know, he has people talk about a conditioning problem. DC said he's only going to last 7 minutes. The most grueling aspect of mixed martial arts is trying to take your opponent to the floor, trying to out-wrestle him and take him down. I can kickbox all day long. Trying to wrestle people to the floor, that takes 100% maximum output. Everything you've got, every muscle in your body, tensing and toing and throwing and using all the technique you have, it's very hard. It is the most grueling aspect of MMA. And Rumble fucked himself. He fucked himself by doing that. He was trying to take down an Olympic caliber wrestler. By doing so, he was totally gassed. Second round came. He was a sitting duck. So not only was it a bad tactical error, it was bad in the term from the perspective of conditioning. The game plan was terrible. It was just, it was baffling. It was confusing. Of course, as you said before,
after he had lost and he was announcing his retirement, is that why his team bailed on him? I read that somewhere.
I don't know why they bailed on him.
They were mad that he grappled and he didn't stick to the game plan.
Really? Well, that's interesting. I mean, no, I can't see that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, as I said, we were in a restaurant and it was kind of hard watching it on an iPhone, and we were talking about what was happening. I can't imagine his team would abandon him in the octagon for doing that. You know, and if they did, shame on them. You know, because things happen in a fight. You know, you can't go out there. Yes, well, it's like Mike Tyson famously said. You know, everybody has a game plan until you get punched in the face. Sometimes, once the fight happens, you're on autopilot. And it's the really good fighters that can stick to the game plan on autopilot. And then other times, you're just reacting to what's happening to you. You know, so I would assume his coaches, his teammates know him. You get a bond. You become like brothers. I can't imagine just because he didn't stick to a game plan, they abandoned him and left him in the octagon.
I'm reading this right now. Look, Rumble's corner tried in vain to tell their fighter to stop trying to out-wrestle an Olympic wrestler, but after a shocking first round in Buffalo, Cormier's world-renowned wrestling skills were far too good for Johnson, blah, blah, blah. Johnson striking coach Henry Hooft had built his fighter's game up on incredible knockout power. Audio of Johnson's corner shows just how shocked Hooft and his team were by Johnson's strategy. They urged him to stop and keep his distance, but Johnson remained silent as they tried in vain to get him to stop. This is somebody else's voice. Take your time. Nice, take your time. This is Hooft. Don't wrestle him. You don't have to wrestle him. AJ, just relax. Don't wrestle him. Everyone's telling him, don't wrestle him. Don't wrestle him. Wow, dude, I'm going to send you this. This is crazy. And
don't wrestle is the key words there. Where are you reading this?
I'm going to send you the link right now on Facebook. It's on metro.co.uk. This is from audio. Yeah, this is a real deal. This isn't like bullshit. They left him because he abandoned the game plan and then retired. Whoa.
What? Well, man. I mean, I'm shocked. Listen, of course, you can be angry at your fighter. Yeah, I just got the link. Thank you. You can be angry at your fighter. You can be frustrated, all these things. But there are conversations that you have in the locker room afterwards, or you go out to dinner afterwards and you be realistic and they say, you know, I mean, I've had losses and I've had to sit down to my coaches and say, you know, what do you think? And they've said, listen, you know, that sucked. That was bad. You did this wrong. You did that wrong. You shouldn't have done this. You did this good, but let's not sugarcoat it. You shouldn't have done that, this and the other. For his coaches to abandon him in the octagon, if that's what they did, and I know you've just sent me the article, but we are doing a podcast. I'll read it later. If that's what they did, then I'm just going to throw it out there right now. Shame on them. You know, maybe, you know, they might not talk to me anymore. They might not train with me. Well, I don't fucking train with Henry Hooft anyway. If that's what they did, if they couldn't stick by their fighter after he's just gone out there to battle, then shame on fucking them. You know, they're just after the glory. They don't give a fuck about Anthony Johnson. If that's what they did, because he wrestled, they didn't even stand with their fighter and walk him out and help him walk out of the octagon and make him feel better. It takes balls to go out there and fight. And whether you stick to a game plan or not, you should still get the respect of everybody involved, you know. Yeah. So if that's the case, then I'm disgusted with his team, to be honest.
Yeah, that's it's very strange. The whole thing, the whole night, both the main and co-main, there are these weird things that have happened in both of these fights. And what is going on
Why
with
is he
Anthony Johnson?
wrestling him? This is stupid. Why is he? Fuck it, man. Just get off the cage. Get out of there. Why isn't he listening? He's tired already. I don't know why he's doing that. We have no expletive eyes. He has no fucking eyes. You're doing great. Don't fuck up. Don't wrestle him. Oh, man. It just keeps going on and on and on and on and on. Why the fuck does this happen every fucking time? Crazy. Wow. Yeah. I mean, but hold on. It doesn't say there that was the reason that they left. I mean, that is a normal dialogue that cornermen will have to themselves. If their fighter is out there and they're losing and they're doing things that they shouldn't have done, you're entitled to have an opinion. So maybe if that isn't the reason why they walked off, then I apologize to his team for what I said. If they walked out there because he lost and didn't stick to the game plan, then yeah, I stand by my words. But they're, as cornermen, you're allowed to have a dialogue to each other and say, Jesus, he's doing it again. He's doing it again. The whole training camp, we told him not to do this. I guarantee the entire training camp, Rumble was not supposed to wrestle. You know, so of course they're going to be frustrated. But if they didn't have if they weren't man enough to stand there side by side with him in victory or defeat, you're supposed to support your fighter. Simple as that.
Yeah, I kind of find it weird in general that they have microphones in the corner during, like, in between rounds. I almost feel like that's kind of an invasion of privacy. Like the way that a coach and a guy talk, isn't that kind of like, wouldn't another team be able to kind of go and like look at that tape and be able to kind of like take that in? And I don't know, I almost feel like, I almost feel you don't really need to have that aspect. As a fan, it's kind of cool to like listen to what's happening in between rounds, but I almost feel like it's a little intimate, no?
Yeah, well, that's exactly what it's for. It's for the viewer. It's for the TV experience so that the viewer at home can hear what's happening in the corner. I guess a way around that would just be to stick a microphone on a boom over the top of the corner. That would make things a lot easier. But no, I don't think that's an invasion of privacy. You know, it's all part of it. And, you know, that's just the name of the game, Lewis. So all good.
Why did Anthony Johnson retire? What is going on? What is this mystery job that he had?
Hold on 1 second. Babe, put the dogs outside. Fucking dogs. We just came back from Vegas, and the dogs have been in a kennel all weekend. A 5-star kennel, I might add. And they've just come in and they're going psycho because I'm here. Very, very distracted, so my apologies. Why did Anthony Rumble Johnson retire? Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, he said he got another job. Have you heard anything behind the scenes?
No, I haven't heard anything. I haven't heard any whispers, any rumors. I don't have a relationship with Rumble Johnson other than being a big fan and meeting him once or twice and shaking his hand and saying, you know, hey, how you doing? I'm assuming he's got something lucrative in the pipeline. Dana referenced something last night that, you know, Rumble said something like that. But at the end of the day, and my son said to me last night, Callum, he said, why did Rumble retire? That doesn't make sense. And I argued with him. I said, well, it kind of does make sense. You know, I mean, everybody wants to be the world champion. And this is a very, very tough, unforgiving sport. People don't realize the fight is the easy part. The training and the lifestyle is the hard part. You know, I mean, I've said this a million times. You know, when you fight, you go out there, you get the applause of the crowd, or in my case, the boos, if I'm in America. You get the applause.
Or Australia.
You get the victory. You get the thrill of victory. You get the thrill of competing. You're competing in the sport that you've chosen in front of the world, on TV all over the place, in front of 20,000 people. At the end of it, you get a big fat check, you know, and it's great. It's awesome. You are a professional sportsman competing at the highest level, and that's great. On a random Tuesday morning when it's freezing cold outside and you go to the gym and your body's aching from head to toe and you're getting the shit kicked out of you, there's no applause. There's no crowd. There's no check. But you've got to do it time and time again. You've got to keep repeating that process. And that's where champions are made, in the training camp. That's what separates the men from the boys. And Anthony Johnson has had a fantastic career. And, of course, he could stick around the UFC for a lot longer and continue fighting and continue beating people and knocking people out and putting on great performances. But he wants to be the champion. And he's failed at that twice. He lost to Cormier and he lost to him again. And part of me respects that, respects the fact that he's willing to walk away. He respects the fact that he says, well, you know what? If I'm not going to be the best, if I'm not going to be the champion, then screw it. I tried. I put my heart and soul into it, and I couldn't do it. I respect a little piece of that, and he's smart enough to walk away while he's still got his brain cells, while he's still got, not too many injuries, and he's still young enough to pursue another career. So if that's the case and that's his choice, I say, well done. Thank you for the knockouts, and best of luck in your future life.
Wow, classy, Michael Bisping.
Well, what do you want me to do? You can't give a guy shit for retiring.
You surprise me sometimes. I don't know. Every once in a while, you surprise me. What am I going to say?